Hello my friends, John LaRuffa here with another Straight Up Solo. In this episode, we're going to take a look at Barcelona. I'm going to show you how this game works from a solo perspective. I'm going to play a couple of turns, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts on what I think solo-wise in the effort to help you understand if this is something that you'd like to buy or something you'd like to pass on. Let's get started. Okay, and as usual, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. And if you have, I really do appreciate it. So I want to just show you the components first before I set the camera up so that you can see what's going on. In this game, you are going to have your player board over here, okay? And in that player board, basically is a staging area for your components, but it also is a place where you're going to unlock things that help you score, like as you place cubes for the tram, as you place intersections that will show you where you're going to get more options to do different things. As you place these cobblestone areas in a spot I'll show you in a second, it'll open up your storage for gold, or coins I should say, and cloth, which represents kind of like all bartering and trading goods at the time. And as you place ownership markers, you're going to get more of these points that are going to help you go up in the city's architect's track. And then there's these spots right here, which are basically like bonus places at the end of the game where you will be able to put different bonuses. You have to pay the fee to get in there. When you put it in there, it's going to help you score for certain things. And then there's a multiplier like this one. I've got it up as ×4. And then finally up here, you have a track where you will be able to, the more you ascend on it, the more you're going to get different tiles, which give you certain bonuses and points, etc. Now, the solo bot is controlled in a very similar way, or I should say the board is similar, maybe somewhat simplified. Oh, I just realized I got to put my cobblestones on here for him. Except he is driven by a deck of cards, which is fairly simple once you understand the prioritization of where he goes. And I'll kind of harp on that a bit to help people out. And then you, instead of getting the cloth or coins, they'll be worth one of these scoring units. I think they're called GPs. And that is equal to the difficulty you're playing on. So if you're playing on easy, it's equal to 2 points. If you're playing on normal, it's 3, hard is 4. And so there are times when you would score these things and instead you are just going to get points. Not score, but like get those things. You just get points. Other than that, the board is very similar, except you never really do place your trolley. You just place the cubes that you're doing. Now, the board itself has all sorts of complex things going on, and I'm going to talk about that after I mount the camera. And I say complex because basically it's a massive grid of different actions. And then it is a set of basically citizen tracks. And when one citizen track gets to the end here, like this one's almost about to do, because we're just about, in this game I have it, we're just about to cross into the first scoring or be a third of the way through. You'll do a scoring and I'll show you how that is done. And then you have this little sideboard over here, which basically holds components, but also has this area, which when you place cobblestone on there, you get some small bonuses. All right, now let's go ahead and put this camera up and then we'll continue. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on the actual board itself. So first of all, each of these spaces over here is lined up with a road. And each of these is lined up with a road, and this one is lined up with this track over here. And anytime you place citizens who are moving into these neighborhoods on an intersection, you're going to activate, as part of your turn, any action that corresponds to the intersections roads going this way. And if you place it on any of these, you'll get 3 actions. You'll get the, let's say I place it here, I'll get to do this action, and move my trolley. And when you move your trolley, you put a cube down, and then wherever you put that cube on a specific road, you can score your roads again, plus you'll take yet another action. And so each turn you're taking between 2 to a maximum of 4 different actions, depending on where you put down these citizens. Now these citizens you're drawing from a bag, and there's 3 types. There's basically like the lower, like the working class, the middle class, and the elite class, okay? And As you're using those, you're moving them into different buildings, and when you move them into a building, you will claim that building for yourself, which may help at the end for scoring, but you'll also score points equal to the lowest numbered point tile spot that's shown on these tracks. So the next person who builds a building will get 6 points. And these fill up as you go, making building things more and more attractive. You must always build a building if you can, regardless of where you place your citizens. At the end of your turn, you must build a building if you take your actions. And so usually building a building is very good. In fact, it's always good, period. But sometimes there are some negative impacts. So the architect who designed, and I will say that this game, for being a Euro, is fairly thematic because this guy, Gaudi, that's how I'm going to say it, okay? He was the architect that came up with this idea of how to rebuild Barcelona, okay? And he rebuilds Barcelona. Oh no, it's not Gaudi. That's the solo guy. Cierda. Gaudi is the solo guy. Cierda is the architect. And Cierda came up, I guess, in the like the late 1800s or middle 1800s, pardon me. Something happened to Barcelona. The whole town got destroyed in a fire or something happened. I can't remember what it says in here. But they're rebuilding the city, and that's what this thematic game is about. And when they did it, this architect had this idea of trying to create a place that had very wide streets, very similar housing, and really was more of a place where people could be seen as equals instead of having opulent things and this and that. And so you are rewarded for those things as you build streets, as you build city corners and such, and as you build non-opulent housing with lots of parks and everything else by going up on his track. And that will then score a multiplier based on the condition here when you go through a scoring phase. And when you don't do that, when you do things kind of against that, when you build more nice, like buildings that have less greenery and they're a little more opulent, you go down in this track. And you may even go even further when you build these, nicer ones too. Now these build based on the type of citizens that you have going into them. But I thought that was kind of thematic. Honestly, they did a really good job trying to pump the theme into this game so it wasn't just completely abstract. And for what it's worth, from a Euro game standpoint, I think they did a decent job. So it's not like you feel like you are building buildings like a construction guy. It's almost like you're part of the design group that is making these things happen, and abstractly helping the city along. So for what it's worth, as thematic as you're going to get, I'd say, in a Euro game. So anyway, regardless, let's go ahead and play a couple turns, and I will show you what you're doing. But before we do that, I'll just quickly go over the types of actions you take. There are actions where you place intersections, which is right here, and intersections help you to get certain in-game help, okay? So they can generate you coins, they can generate you points, depending on how many you build, and other basic things, okay? And they do that when you have somebody put citizens, even yourself, on there. Also, when you build them, you will get, let's say if I build it here, it would actually cost me 1 coin, but then I would get any uncovered bonus over there. So there's a lot of puts and takes in this game where you're building on top of something that costs something, but then sometimes it's not a fee, it's a bonus, etc. Very Euro-like in that regard, okay? Same thing with the streets. If you build a wide or long street, you're going to get a certain amount of points depending on the total number of streets in the row, and you score those based on the amount of streets going this way, that way, that match your type. So you're not just scoring for the other types, but it's just for you. And that's a way to score a lot of points by building the narrow streets or the bigger ones. I can talk to you about placing the cobblestones. It'll help you expand. And I will put some of these down here while I'm talking on the solo. It'll help you expand your storage and score you points at the end of the game. Plus, you'll get some little bonuses for covering up this little tile matrix over there. And in kind of Euro fashion, that kind of represents, I guess, you doing something in regards to supplying tile for the building of the city at some point. And I don't know, that's a little more abstract. Then you can build these public buildings. The public buildings all have nice looking artwork, but basically they do let you get points and some bonuses on this to move up this track, and that will help you to get, like I said, get points and move up, but also you'll get some kind of special action or some kind of bonus for doing that. And there's more buildings in the game than are out there, so you get some variety there. You can take these bonus tiles and score them on the top at the end. You can get 1 cloth and 3 points. You can get 2 coins. You can move up your bonus multiplier if you pay the fee up in these areas. Sometimes they don't have a fee. And then here it's building 2 small streets, and here it would just be going up on the track. And then finally here you can move your tram 1 or 2 spaces, and when you move your trolley, you can place down the cube on it doesn't have to have a road, but if it does, and it's your road, you will be able to score the road as if you just place it again for the points and the linkage, plus take the action. So if I put something over here, I would be able to score 1 point for this because it's just by itself, but then I get to take that action. So that's all the actions. Now let me go ahead and show you what it looks like whilst we're doing it, all right? So it is my turn. So I've got these 2 citizens and I have to place. The first thing I do is I take these 2 citizens in either order. I'm gonna place them down and I'm gonna place them in an intersection. Oh, and I just realized when I built this last time, I should have flipped that over and got points. I'll tell you what, this game has points for everything. They talk about point salad. This definitely is a point salad game, but it's also a point. There are just tons of points. You're getting lots of points. Like there's a score thing over there to have 400 plus. Now I didn't get nearly that many in my first game, but the points are coming from everywhere. And so that may be a positive, that may be a negative. We'll talk about that at the end. But I'm gonna put this over here. And the reason I'm gonna put it here is twofold. Number 1, I want some more storage. So I wanna get that out. Number 2, I wanna build some more roads. Number 3, I wanna actually build this building over here to claim this last 5 points. And it's gonna help me in my situation with scoring. Now, why would I put one on top of the other? Well, I'm putting this one on top because I want to fill this in a little faster. I'm not gonna be able to do this before we score, but in general, I'm trying to fill in this track to get this amount higher. So anyway, I put those down there. Now I take the action. Well, I'm gonna first put this cobblestone out, and I'm gonna put it on this space right here to be able to claim a bonus. And the bonus that I'm gonna claim is gonna be the one that says, I'm gonna do the 3 different types of corner buildings, I guess you could say. 3 points for each one that's not in the same spot. So that sounds good to me, and I'm gonna put it over here. And actually I can't put it over there because I don't have the 2 cloth. So what I will do instead is I will put it on the one next to it, right there. That's 1, 1. Spend those. All right, so that was this action. I covered that up. I took that tile. We refill this right away. Now, my next action here will be placing 2 streets. I guess I could have done this differently, but that's okay. I'm not going to go back on it. So I'm going to place this first street right here, which is going to count for 1, 2 points. I'm going to place this second street right here, 1, 2, 3 points. And because I covered this up, I'm going to be able to get another cloth. So that's how I could have gotten the cloth to put it over there. And we're not going to go back on it because I'll put something else here, maybe a little bit easier to score. Okay, so then I've done that. I've played my actions. Now I'm going to build. You always have to build, like I said, if you can. I don't have to build over there. I put it down there, but that is the only situation that I have over here. So I remove these 2. I'm going to build the building over here because these are adjacent. I'm going to put this over here and over here, which means it's going to trigger a score because I've completely filled up this one column. And so first, let's finish the building here. So it is one of these kinds. Now I have a choice. I can build one of these, or I could build one of these. This would actually give me a bump up. And because of where I am, I do want to double my score here. So I'm going to build the lower value building, so to speak, right now, because I can do that with any color citizen I want. So I'm going to do that. It's going to bump me up 1 on this track, which will double my score. And I'm going to place it down here. I'm going to place the ownership, and then I'm going to get 6 points, like I said. All right, so it puts me in 48. Now, because I did all that stuff, I checked to see if And you can, by the way, you can overbuild of a higher level and different things like that. That's possible in this game. You can't overbuild these, and you can't overbuild level 3 tiles. Those are the highest levels. So what I'm going to do now is it says check the scoring. So I'm going to check the scoring to see what's going to happen here. And what they're going to do is they're going to score for buildings in a row or a column where you have the most. Okay? And in this case, I have 3. So that'll be 3. That'll be 2 points per building. That's 2, 4, 6 times 2 is 12. So I'm going to get 12 points for that. It's going to put me to 60. Now, he's a little different. He doesn't score the condition per se. What he does is he scores 2 points times his value here, which is 3, right? I told you about that GP value. Well, that would be 6. And then he has only 1 time over there. So he's just going to get 6 points out of this. It's going to put him right here. Then what happens is these go back to this spot right here. I clear these out, draw some new ones. And then I flip this over so that we're not confused. We're not going to score this again, even when these fill up. Okay? And that's the end of my turn. So now I'm going to go to his turn. We're going to flip over this card right here. And it says, first, we're going, oh, and at the end of my turn, I got to draw 2 more citizens, which I'll draw right here. And I got a blue and a green. Okay. Now, he is going to first move his guy in the direction of the arrow here, but he's always going to prefer to go on his own intersection if he can to place there, and he's also going to prefer to go to a spot where he can build. This will satisfy both of those. So he's going to go right here, and he is just going to randomly draw 2, and then he will always put the order like that. So in this case, I got a green and I got a pink, so we're going to put it right there. Now he wants to place that tile, and he's going to do it in order. There's a priority order that is on the card here. So looking at what we have available, you have to kind of put it next to everything. The one that he's going to do in most priority is going to be this one right here, which will give him 6 points because it's a coin and a cloth. So that's 6 points, 3 each. Okay? And then he's going to build that building. So the only place on the map he could build right now, based on where he placed, is this spot right here. Right here, as a matter of fact. So what happens is we are going to remove this and this. He is going to build one of these types of buildings. He's going to put his ownership here. We're going to place this down here and this down here, and he's going to get 6 points. And that's his turn. So the turns are pretty fast. The most confusing thing is trying to figure out where he's going to actually move his guy. And you got to remember, he is going to first move to a spot he has an intersection if he can. If it's within one, basically if it's within one move of where he is, right? Second of all, he is then going to go to a spot where he will be able to build a building afterwards. And then third, he'll go in any spot as long as it's not my intersection. If for whatever reason he can't do that, he will expand his priorities out further. And a lot of his control is basically, he tries to do everything he can around himself, and if he can't do it, he expands further. And you start going clockwise from where it's pointing. So you'd start from this spot and work your way around, so to speak. Okay? And that's kind of the concept there of how he activates. Relatively straightforward. I guess it would have been nice to have just a cheat sheet of what these actions do a little bit more succinct on a player aid. They could have certainly made 1 or 2 player aids like this size for the actual solo, and that would have been awesome. They didn't do that. It was kind of a pain in the neck to flip through this until you learn it. So that's a miss, I think, on their part. Very simple to do, and they blew it. Okay, so now back to me. Well, what do I want to do? I would like to get... So, oh, and I forgot when I did this, it wouldn't have mattered, but when I placed that last street, it actually unlocked something for me to go to this spot, but it doesn't matter because it reset. So I'm going to probably place on my intersection. However, I have a bonus tile that helps me out for building these in different locations. So I almost don't want to place there. I want to place here so I can build one over there and start to maximize that. So the tension in this game is trying to figure out what actions you want to do and make sure that those actions correspond to both the round scoring areas and these bonus scoring areas. And that's where it comes down. Plus, I just realized while I was talking, I forgot to flip this over and give myself the 5 points. There's, again, a lot of things to keep track of, as you can see by my bumbling here. All right. The other thing I should be able to do, if I wanted to, I could place here. It cost me a coin. I'd still be able to build there, but then they would let me move my trolley. And I'm going to do that. Do I want to do that? It's not worth it. It's not worth it because of what the trolley would do. I want to try to get my trolley down here, but I need to at least get somebody, like a build a road there or something. I just don't have the right setup. So what I'll do is I'll put this over here, and I'm going to actually put this on top because I want to cover that 6. So we go there. That means place a big street and move up one on this. So I am going to move up one. I'm going to spend that cloth to make this a 3 instead of a ×2. And then I get to place a big road, which I'm going to do. And I'm going to put it right here. That'll give me 2 coins, which is good. And it's worth 2 points per connected road, so that's just 2 points right there. Okay, then I'm done with these 2 actions, so now I'm going to build that building like I said. Cover this, go here, it's one of these, it goes here. I place this out, which uncovers, I know you can't see it out of the camera, but it'll uncover one of my bonuses to go here. And now I have that. So now I've got 2 of these conditions, so it'd be 6 times 3 is 9 at the very end. And if I can keep building them, I can build this up for even more scoring capabilities. Okay, so we've done that. We've taken our actions. We placed the building. I didn't get my score for the building, so I should have gotten 7 points for building that. There we go. All right, back to him. And you can see how this kind of goes. Now, the game ends when you score your 3rd round. At that point, the game will end as long as there's been equal number of points. You go first in the game, and then, so let's say I end it, he would get 1 more turn. If he ends it, it's over because we've had both equal number of turns. Okay, so he is going to want to move in this direction right here because of that arrow, but he always wants to build, so that would not help him build if he built there, so he's going to ignore that. So he's going to keep working his way around. The first place he'd be able to build is to move there, and the reason is because he'd be able to use these 2 citizens, so he's going to go here, and I always forget to draw my 2 citizens. Okay, now we draw his 2 citizens, and we put them in this order. Okay. And then he's going to go up 1 on this church track right here. And I've been playing it, I don't know what you're supposed to do really, but I've been playing it where he gets the one that's going to score him the most points. This is worth 11, that's worth 4, and he doesn't go up. This is worth 6, and that's 7. So I'm going to have him do this. So he's going to get 11 points because that seems to be the most advantageous. All right, actually that's not 11, that's 8. So he would just get 8. So 1, 2, 3 back. Okay. All right, because he crossed over there with his marker. And then he's going to take this. Actually, he's going to move this one up here to score to the double if he ever fills in those. Okay. Now he builds a building. So in this case, it's these 2 right here. The best building, he always wants to build the blue, then the yellow, or the pink, then the green, but he can't build any of those because he doesn't have enough guys and a red guy. So what he's going to do is he's going to end up building this one right here. He's going to build it right here. It's going to get him a +1 on this. He puts this down. That uncovers another one for him. And it is worth now 8 points for him to build. So it's going to put him up here at 61. Right? Yeah. Okay. And then his turn is over. So, oh, and one thing I forgot to do, and this always slips my mind, I'm sorry. When we go through the scoring, I was supposed to shuffle these. I'll just do it now. But you don't, that way you don't use all these every time. Okay, so I'm not going to redo this turns or whatever, but when you do the scoring round, you just shuffle up the AI. Okay? Okay, back to me now. You get the feel for what we're doing here. We're really trying to maximize a bunch of different things. We're trying to maximize the actions we can take with the scoring that's available with these. You know, so I want to get, in order for me to score a lot in here, I got to get more of these. So that means I got to take these actions over here. So I might as well, right? So maybe the best thing for me to do would be to do something like this. So I could see this being advantageous. All right, so watch this. So I won't be able to build a building with this move, but I still think it's worth doing. I'm going to put this over here. That will let me get one of these, and I'm going to really try my best to see if I can bump up as many of these things as I can. So this is 2 points for every one that I bump up. Now I have to put it down someplace. I've got a lot of coins, so I'm going to put it over here. All right, that lets me spend that. And now I get to place 2 of my roads. So let's go ahead and finish this up. So that's going to be worth 4 points. And then I'm going to put one over here so I can start to drive down and score these. And that's worth 2 points. Okay, so I did that and I did that. Now, can I build a building? Like I said, no, I can't, because there's not 2 of these citizen tracks. I didn't really make that clear. Let me make it very clear. In order to build a building, the citizens have to be surrounding the spot. Okay, you have to have at least 2 or 3 if you want to build this surrounding the spot. So since there's none of those, they're all by themselves. Can't do that. So I can't really score. That's what I gave up. I decided to build more roads and I just didn't get the score. So my turn's done. Now let's see what he does and then we'll talk about what I think. So here, very simple. So first he's, and I always do it. I grab my two citizens. Okay, so he's going to move up. Again, he's going to try to go to a spot where he can build, but he doesn't have one. So with not all that considered, he just goes, oh, he will be able to build there actually. So he'll be able to go there. We'll grab 2 because he's going to build across. And it looks like blue and blue. Okay. Well, maybe he won't be able to build because he won't be able to overbuild that with the situation that just happened. Interesting. All right. So then what he's going to do, he's going to take the tile, he's going to put it over here. And the one that he takes is the end one based on this card over here. He plops it down. And there we go. Okay, and that is his turn. Now he would then have to build a building, but I said he can't because he cannot overbuild this. One of these would have to be pink. It's not pink. You can't build over these, and there's nothing else intersecting. So that actually worked out. So he and I both kind of had a misfire, so to speak, on that one. We didn't get to score, so that's good. All right, that gives you an idea what kind of game this is. Very, very Euro-y, but the overall theme that they talk about in here and why they did the actions and how the buildings are set up, it comes through a little bit, I think. All right, let me tell you what I think about this game. So Barcelona is a very Euro-heavy game for sure. There's no doubt about it. It's got all the trappings of placing things here, getting this for that. You don't have a production change, so to speak, so there isn't a situation there, but the ramp up comes in the idea that as you build more buildings, things get more and more, you get more and more points for it. But I will say I've seen some people say there's not a lot of build up, so to speak, to like a climactic finish. And I would kind of agree with you there because that build up of points is the same for you and for the other player. So it's kind of like you're both in rising tension to finish, but that, that's really not it. Where you will get the tension in this game is trying to figure out how to play the actions you want to play that also correspond to the scoring mechanisms you need, like the bonuses and the end round scoring. That's mostly where the tension comes from, I believe. I would say, though, that this game is a lower tension game as far as the AI blocking you or taking your move or doing something like that. It doesn't seem to be very heavy in this game. I think the AI does a decent job simulating what it would be like to play with someone else. But this game doesn't really have a ton of interaction, I think, between you and the player. Yeah, you are building the blocks out there for sure, and that can block your spaces, but it has enough room where you can kind of operate somewhat independently of the other player and not really trip over one another. You can also take advantage of what the other player is doing, but now, there's not going to be a situation where you feel like, oh, he took that action. I really needed him to do that. Now, it might be on a bonus tile pickup. That's probably the biggest one. He could take a bonus you're going for, but overall, that's not here. So if that's really important to you, this game is going to be lower on that spectrum. All right. Now, what do I like about it? Well, I do like the fact that it provides a ton of interesting choices based on what you're trying to do. Like I said, how many actions can I get? How effective can I be and still do something that leads to my strategy? My strategy in every game is going to be dictated by the 3 different scoring rounds, plus the ability to build the right buildings and to maximize those bonuses for the scoring rounds, and to be, I would say, opportunistic to get other things done as well. I mean, like I said, you're scoring points for all sorts of stuff, as you saw. Roads, actions, the bonuses, there's lots of stuff going on here scoring points. There's just places that you build there first, you score points. There's points on the board, there's points everywhere. So in one way, it's kind of weird in the fact that you just get rained down on with like all sorts of stuff. And so it's kind of difficult, I think, to feel like I made a big move because they're all like medium-sized moves. Now, you do somewhat feel like if you made a big move as you start to play a little bit more and understand what that feels like, but it's not apparent. And that's fine, but I'm pointing out something that could be a plus or a minus for you. I don't mind it whatsoever, but I could see some people being put off by that. Too many points, too much going on, too many scoring things. I can't really tell if I'm making progress or not. Yeah, I could see that. Overall, though, I do really enjoy this game. I definitely enjoy it because of the puzzle aspect. That's what I like about it. I like that puzzly feel of if I can take these actions here, it can set me up for this turn, which rolls into my bonus and then rolls into my tiles, and that will put me on a chain of events to maximize all sorts of stuff. And I think that is cool. I think some of the tension I mentioned, not a lot of tension. Some of the tension is just trying to be able to afford what you want to do when you need to do it. So that's there too. But other than that, you see what you get and you get what you see, right? I think that every time you sit down in this game, it's going to be a very tactical experience. You're not going to be able to try different strategies per se. I mean, maybe you will a little bit, but for the most part, every game has the same type of variable setup, and you can also put down tiles where you change up on the board which actions do what. So there's a lot of variable setup. There's no doubt about that. But it's not like I could say, well, I'm going to go for this heavy strategy or that heavy strategy. I think that in general, if you play the game really well, you'll do an everything heavy strategy, so to speak. You know, you'll find ways to build the building and do your bonus tile and do the scoring round and up yourself on the architect track, all those things, and that's how I think you will get into those huge scores. So it definitely rewards clever play. This is not a game where you can just fiddle around, do this and that, and do well. You'll do mediocre. So that's what I like about it the most, is that kind of aspect of really being able to cerebrally build this game into a tactical masterpiece of play. Could be really cool, and I like that, and I think that's fun. But if you don't like that kind of thing, if you'd rather have a game that has specific types of strategies you can try, or variable buildings that are dramatically different, that change your strategy, that allow you to do different things, this game is going to underwhelm you. So I think that this is one where some people will like it, and other people will say, it's okay, and some people will say no. And if you are prone to a lot of AP, I think you're going to find this game frustrating, because the interactions of the different actions you can take and the intersections of the actions is somewhat a lot to think about. And if you struggle to find the best move every single time, no matter what, you might find your brain coming out of your ears. I like to play from my gut, okay? That gives me the practice I need to then get better at feeling where I should go. So I don't suffer from AP very much. And so this is fine for me. I like it. But for those who do, this is going to be, you better know what you're getting into. I think it plays relatively quickly. The box says 60 to 90 minutes. I would say for solo, absolutely 60 minutes. After you've learned the game, and you're not looking things up. I think a big miss is no player aid for the solo. That was a swing and a miss. The player aid for the player is good. I like it. It could be maybe a little bit refined, maybe one more of them, but I think it's good enough to get you what you need. You have to look at the manual every now and then. But I found that once I read the rules and understood what I was doing, the turn structure player aid and the action player aid was enough to keep me going. So that's what I think about it. I hope this was very helpful for you, and I hope that whatever you decide to play in the future, you have a fantastic time doing it. Take it easy, everybody.